Casted Crowns Inc. We here once again. Family advocacy, education starts at home. Today we have definitely a special guest, a man in the community, a man who's well known and well respected in the community, and a man who's got footprints all around the globe. So without further ado, we definitely would like to introduce to you guys, sir.
Cee Russo, Brooklyn Tonsorial, Full Shave and Barber Studio. Peace.
So there you have it. So, see, just now you said Brooklyn Tonsorial. Most people are familiar with a barbershop. What exactly is a tonsorial?
Tonsorial is an old word, and it basically is the technical word for the art of barbering and barbers. I learned the word from my first handbook, given to me by a mentor, and it was a word that I recognized or spoke to me immediately.
Right.
Being an artist, going to art and design high school, and had some time at Pratt College. And I'm an artist,
Right.
first.
Right.
You know.
Right. You create.
I create, and that's it was, hair is one of the best mediums I found, being able to hold my attention.
Right.
Right. Being able, with life circumstances, I'm able to create. The canvas changes, and I'm able to support myself. So, it feeds even what I still consider some of my weaknesses.
I noticed something you said, and it was somebody who you described as a mentor. They changed your life, so to speak. They gave you, they introduced you to a bit of information, and you found what you needed to find in there.
Yeah. My uncle, affectionately called, and even by his nature, Gene, he's the one who literally helped me get my licenses. He put that book in my hand and was like, I'm going to test you on it.
Right.
Gave me, a goal to reach. But he really physically even came and did what he said, but, really taught me and then gave me pointers on how to hone my skills.
Right.
He wasn't my only mentor, but he was one of the most active,
Right.
I would almost say teachers, but I had a couple, actually, and in my first Charlie Guest, he was one of the first people that I met, men, let me say, that I met when I got home.
Right.
And allowed all the opportunity for me to grow in his business. Never hindered me. He saw a drive that I had, and he was like, "Go ahead, do it. Sure. Go ahead, use the barbershop, use my space.
Right.
Go ahead."
He gave you an opportunity to be successful.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
And to grow. I would tell you like this: he was highly revered in the neighborhood for cutting hair, like being dope. Like, we're in the style. And when Big was little, like, he was cutting that man's hair, from street dudes to, regular class, working class people, professional people. Like, they coveted his haircuts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you sit in this chair, these people, to get anybody out of bed, there are people, I've watched him make people wait hours and days. And I knew I graduated when one of his people were like, see a chance.
Right.
You know, that as far as skill was like, oh, see, you come out here. There were other barbers,
Right.
but I was the one and only person that any one of his clients, after a couple years, was like, see, you come out here. I ain't even waiting on you now.
Right.
You know, frustrated with certain things, but they felt comfortable
Right.
enough to sit in my chair for the time being and say, see, let me, I could go to see and let me take care of, you can take, like, yeah, go ahead.
They saw that student becomes a master.
Yeah. I wasn't even a master then, but I'm not even, and I don't talk shit about a lot of things, but when it comes to my artwork, when it comes to barbering, oh, I'm nice.
Right.
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 I ain't like, I'm highly proficient in what I know in how to cut hair.
Right.
So, but that was a milestone and a proud moment when one of his first, and I really remember like he was a headache.
Right.
Even he didn't play about his haircut.
Right.
And he was a client that even when I wound up being able to go to school, to college, he made sure I cut his hair twice a week while I was away at school. At Pratt, I was staying on campus, and he put $100 in my hand twice a week for each, whether I shaped him up or gave him a haircut. Just support, because he was supportive like that, but he was a headache. He did not play with anybody in his head. So, paying attention and taking pride in my craft and learning. Guess did that. Like, he didn't teach me the same way Gene did. But he would ask questions and made sure I used to take my time too. Right. And understood how hair fell and all of those things. But definitely a big impact, a very big impact on my development, even as a young man.
Okay. Okay. So would you say you picked up the mantle or carried the torch from where he left off? Because he sounds like he was a man of the community. You said he was well revered.
Yeah, of sorts.
You said that there was individuals from young people like the notorious B.I.G. You said he cut his hair at a young age. This is before the stardom.
Even before and after.
Before the stardom. But then
before
people
and
are
after
waiting.
And during. Yeah, all the time, yeah.
So people will wait for good service.
Definitely.
And if you have the clientele, then that's a great indication that there's skill and good service on the community on the other side.
Yeah, definitely. Like, he definitely made his bones other than that, and how it was well respected. I think as a man, you have to be. Like, that's part of business.
Right.
Good business is relationships. Relationships and how you treat people is very important. And I saw that, even if there were disagreements or things that they didn't like, one thing they were not going to play with was with love him or hate him, his ability to lace your hair was immaculate.
Right.
So when I received an opportunity to someone who I saw and understood to be very particular and wanted what, saw that I could also do what he did, and that was a lot.
So
as far as
I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
Yeah, so but as far as passing the mantle, in time, I think that's something I also understood. Just as wanting to be a man, for what a man, for at least what I can tell you, what my understanding of being a man is.
Right.
Yeah. There's a responsibility that we have as a man to yourself, to your family, and to your community, to pay things forward. Right. You know what I'm saying? To help others. Period. Like I'm specifically in a service to others. Your service to others will, I think, enrich your life. Right. So there is a responsibility there And it behooves any businessman who eats from the community
Right.
to pay that forward. You know,
Right.
this
Right.
becomes your extended family. This is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I will tell you, your kids are my kids. I see, I watch, I look out. You know, and that's for anyone. You know what I'm saying? And I would want anyone to do the same for mine.
Right.
You know, I think there are some things that have gotten lost over time, but there's some things I don't care. You know, a lot of people say it's a different era, it's a different time.
Right.
True. Morals, principles, values. These things, I think, they transcend with time.
Right.
They're still important. These are principles of community that I don't think should change.
Mm-hmm.
The dynamic and how we may associate slightly with one another.
Mm-hmm.
That's only, and I think the only difference is because, you know, we can do things electronically now.
Right.
But right is right, wrong is wrong. You out of pocket, you out of order.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling your parents.
Right. Right. Right.
Get your ass over here. What you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know how much laws and certain things have changed, but I think that we have used these excuses to stop policing ourselves and our people.
Right.
But we have an obligation to.
Okay, I want to touch on some points which you made on. So, one, you provide a service where you leave the community in a better standing once they leave, as opposed to when they came in. When somebody walks in the door, they walk in a certain way, but when they leave,
Mm-hmm.
they feel and their appearance has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
To the point where the community themselves is going to recognize, oh, I know you just got a cut, right? You just got your hair done, right?
But you know, your cut, your confidence, your spirit, everything
Right.
can be risen.
So you provide that service, but you're saying it's not just the appearance, but there's actually certain more deep-rooted skills and qualities that you need to possess in order to be successful in the community from a man's perspective.
Yeah, I think
Right?
so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Now, with that being said, how have you seen, because communities change, whether for the better or for the worse, communities change for sure.
Mm.
But you're saying that these particular principles need to be a staple. These need to be pillars in the community, right?
Facts.
To keep some level of grounding, to sustain the community.
Mm.
And you're saying that you have a bit of a responsibility to the community
Mm-hmm.
because the community sustains you,
Mm-hmm.
so you need to put some more qualifying energy out into the community.
Definitely.
Where does that come from?
I mean, this came from a number of places. This came from my parents.
Mm-hmm.
This came from me living life.
Mm-hmm.
More so, I think, for my mistakes than just my triumphs.
Right.
But this business specifically, I've been cutting hair professionally for almost 20 years.
Right.
Right?
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
But I've been cutting hair longer than that.
Right.
You know, it was professionally when I decided to step into a shop
Mm-hmm.
that this has been just about 20 years. And then add another, maybe about 7
Right.
on top of that, or more. You know, like learning to cut hair, whether it was just with my boys and they're allowing, because I always had a decent hand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's always stories I used to hear, yo, son could draw. They always
Right.
be nice
Right.
barbers. And,
Right.
and to a degree, I can understand why and how that comes to be. Like, you know, I've been an artist since I was a little kid.
Right.
So learning to draw lines and observe and look and pay attention to, you know, the contours of someone's anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I bet I see how this is supposed to go once you understand principles, you know, the basics.
So you're saying you look at a person's facial structure
All of that.
when you're doing it. Okay.
No, all of
okay.
that. Like there's with all education on a technical level, yeah, definitely. I look at somebody, I look at their hair, I look at the density of their hair, I'll look at, you know, how their growth pattern and
Right.
all of the aspects that I would need to look at for a desired result. So the technical part of this education, like that, of my art education, did apply. It helped me to, all right, this will look good, because he has a square head, so we'll make a little bit more rounder lines to, soften that a bit and to make it look, more appealing.
Right.
Or vice versa. Or he has a elongated head, and this would, bro, this is gonna make you look, like a pencil head, or it just, or if that advice was ever sought, besides, still giving the service that the person asked for. So these are the considerations. Honestly, now, what that really is I care. In the business of service, I think it is important to care for people. I understand it's a capitalistic society in nature. But we're people.
Right.
I specifically have lived the fruits of my life by the treatment of people.
Most certainly.
So it's more. And then, not to even sound funny, like, what if a man gets to touch another man's head? This is a very personal space.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you shouldn't. Even as for myself, I don't want to enter it with a negative vibe. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to pass these things back and forth. That type of negative, it's not necessary.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The barbershop really is a sanctuary for men, for people, because it's not even just guys anymore. Honestly, no, it's people. It's it's a moment in time when you are trying to transform yourself.
Very true.
What I'm saying? Hair is part of our nervous systems. These are extensions of ourselves.
Right.
So, and these are all the things I have and do consider.
Right.
When I come here. So it's definitely more than just cutting hair.
Right. It's an artistry.
Yes. I think, like, I take pride in my work, so yeah, there is an artistry to it. There is, a little bravado that I do have, with my hand, like, this is what I'll create, this is my style, this is what I choose to, this is the way I approach it from. And I'm the youngest, second to last youngest of 8 siblings. Right. There's
Check that out.
3 older brothers, 3 older sisters of sorts, and 1 younger sister. I'm the youngest boy. 45. So my lineage is a little bit more old school. But I'm still also on that cusp.
Right.
And so I see some of the millennial type of things that going on, but I also hold strong to the basics.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's still ideology I have of understanding the basics. Like, gotta love the Spurs. Consistency, but from the basics. Is that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You let other people shine, and they you have to pay homage to the other accolades, like from basketball had. But consistency, no other team consistently, every year. Right. It's almost like you play a game. You always had to see, that want those certain players for you to get to the top. And they were one of those teams that for how many years in a row?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So the San Antonio Spurs, the fundamentals
about
their consistency and their success, their dynasty.
How many times did they make it to the playoffs and not the finals? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were a force to have to deal with. And there's a science to that. Just with things in life, I still believe there's just the basics. There's morals, principles, and characters and a character that you must have for longevity. And I think for fruitfulness. I often tell people, bad things happen to good people.
Right.
But there's a difference when bad things happen to good people. It's whether or not you have your brothers and sisters that will be willing to sit there and say, hold on, I got you. If by minimal, point you in the right direction.
Right.
That's all any man could ask for. It's still on you. It's still on you, but it's better at least now you know what direction to go instead of you not running around either in circles or in the whole wrong direction. Adverse to when you're a piece of shit and they're happy you where you at and they let you wallow in it.
Right.
And some will kick you when you down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these principles that were said to me, they got solidified from dealing with all the people, listening to them or them talking to me, and it was this has been a lifelong growing experience.
Right.
And that's also why I feel like it's a responsibility I have too. Like I'm cared for by these people, not directly by my own merit by doing the work I'm supposed to do, but we know, we don't live by ourselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We live with each other.
Very true.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to, whether you want to or not. If you become a woman and man, obligation first to self, family, but to your community, because we live together.
Right.
So I bring all of that.
Yeah, that often gets forgotten from so much individuality and things like that. Self-promotion, we forget the community aspect, we forget the building blocks that we should be tasked with to add on to what was laid out before us. So in closing, we definitely want to touch on some points. We see that you were given an opportunity, and you were given an opportunity by not just one, but by two particular gentlemen who meant so much to you. And they provide mentorship, right? They provide guidance. They put you underneath their wing, and they gave you the opportunities to succeed and to fail and to get back up, because you said you fell on your face a couple of times, but you got back up. And we've gathered that you also took on not just the ability of your hands, but the responsibility that you feel you have to the community, right? Now, in closing, what is something that you would like to see happen in the community? Maybe it's missing, so something the community is missing, because you have a bird's eye view. You've been in the community for some time. You've been providing a service for some time. I'm pretty sure it's endless amounts of people who sat in your chair wherever you have been. So what is something that you would say is missing from the community right now, and how would you say that we would get it back?
This is something that I realized. The two, my two guys that I mentioned aren't the only mentors. So this gentleman, I learned more from I learned more by learning what not to do through him. And I have love for this man in the sense that, there was an opportunity given, right? But I recognize it to this point to be something that was from a more selfish standpoint. I don't feel that they were truly cared about my growth. And I was with them almost the longest, and my dealings with this individual, I would say I think this is before, maybe it might not be on, from earlier. I said that, I always sought out elders. I always sought to learn from somebody, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that got exploited, I think, from this individual, but I still, like I said, I still had love for him because, I honestly wouldn't be here today or have some of the relationships I have with some of the people I have relationships with if it wasn't for them.
Right.
But it was such a level of selfishness. We, by nature, I think a lot of human beings are selfish, which can be rightfully so, but it's a balance. And I think that we have, what you touched on is that we've, in a manner, we've lost this balance. There's a lot of individualism and a lack of community for a host of reasons. But just because something is hard does not mean it should not still be worked on and attacked and, and worked over. I mean, we have to still work to this goal, no matter how hard it is. So, there's a level of selfishness with people. And I don't want to just make it for our community,
right? But
just people in general,
right?
And everyone is really going to have to understand this. And you've known me, I literally have every race as the 3 races that there are in this world, but the ethnicity and nationalities that have touched my chair that repeatedly,
right?
I literally have Chinese clients and Indian clients from India, from Bangladesh, from Pakistan, from the Middle East, from Africa, from Europe, German and Swiss and Senegalese and Mali and Nigerian and people from these lands. Australia, I had a producer, I forgot his name, and he was going to go meet everybody. But he music, but
right.
He's from Australia.
Right.
Besides everybody from the city, like I still got brothers that come from the Bronx, that come from Harlem. My boy that was just left here, he's in Jersey.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like brothers from Long Island, like I still have people who come from all around. And what it just taught me, one, people are people. Everyone wants the same thing in life. And I'm still proud to be who I am, even being of mixed ethnicity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's partially also why I've had certain views of understanding how to treat people. Because I'm proudful of my shop. I represent the culture that I have all around here. And I'm not hiding that.
Right.
And it's okay to be. But there's also a level of respect to still have for everyone. You know what I'm saying? I'm born and raised in New York.
Being an ambassador.
And if people who don't look like us can give you a chance,
right,
and then see, yo, this is the best haircut I've ever had. If I have a white guy, I'm like, oh, I've given my haircut my whole life, even by white people, and you think, and you have given me the best haircut I've ever had in my life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like to touch, like, yeah, like to be able to touch someone in that manner to say, like, I heard what you said.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's still almost like, how could somebody that don't look like me, ain't me, can make me feel this good about my own shit?
Right, right. That's amazing because it further adds to a point that we most certainly have the skills and ability to transcend cultural bounds.
Right. Because I cut hair.
Right, right.
You understand, like,
because every background has hair.
Exactly.
We all have hair.
Yeah, like
right.
That's my first job. That's actually I'm a barber. That's right. My job, to cut hair. So it behooves me to understand to cut all hair, right. Any kind of hair, or to pay attention to all those things. Right. That's my first job, right? Take pride in my job. It's not my job to know how to cut black hair or whatever. My craft. Right. Exactly. So that is a principle. That is of workmanship, of character. Like, nah, learn your craft. Hold it. Doesn't take away from me and my own people. But that is my job. And it only behooves me. The neighborhood is changing. And honestly, born and raised in New York, we always grew up around other people. Whether you were accepted or not, you were still around other people. And being able to, this is how I communicate like that. You know, that my spirit communicates through this. So being able to be an example. That was one of the dopest experiences I think that I could have had. Someone just like, wow, okay.
Right.
And that is an example, in a sense, to live through. But I'm proudful. I'm still me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still black.
Right.
I'm still Latino. I'm still,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm mixed up with all that.
Right.
So, but that doesn't make me better than or less than. Just makes me other.
Right.
Just another person with other things to offer.
Right. So you maintain your identity, and it gives you the ability to not necessarily adapt, but for other people to find a quality in you, even if they didn't have the same cultural bond as some others.
So
your identity in itself was able to transcend. You weren't imprisoned by ideas. You were able to go beyond that because of your craft, and then people saw things in you
in a balance
that they could respect, to bring about a balance.
To bring about a balance, and just to understand, one, like, I still benefit from this because I got paid, but it's not selfish. I didn't scorn him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There was, and there's tough times and information that I have that can make you look at any one other person jaded. Just in examples of life, because we are persecuted people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But not being selfish, trying not to be selfish, even with our thoughts, with our intentions and everything else, that's where I think we need to improve on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's going to hurt us and all people without having that balance. You know what I'm saying? And that's, in roundabout, going back to my people, like, that hurt him. And I can see, whether they care or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, on the outside looking in, like, all of the people they put me in contact with, we're still in contact. But they still check, genuinely. Not to say that no one else does anything, but, that's something that I know I didn't want to have. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want on my name. I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be disliked for that type of reason. I don't want to be remembered negatively under that, like, for being so selfish.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they have an immense talent to bring people together for certain things, but at least the way I look at it, but can't finish the deal because you're selfish. And all of us being so selfish, we lose. We sometimes talk about, how far we could have been if you weren't so selfish.
Right. It's a team game.
Yeah, and I used to tell, like, shine, like, my mom, like, I want you to shine, like, that's what you like.
Right.
Brother left earlier, he was like, yo, so, they were talking about being on, I don't care to be on camera all the time, like, that's not my thing. I don't mind building. But I want him, like, he liked the camera, but you shine, you do what you do. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay over here, bro, but just give me my just due.
Right.
Give us our just due.
Right.
Show us some love, respect, and whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's it. But, bro, shine. You could be the man you want to be, bro. We here for you.
Right.
But they couldn't do that.
Right.
Their selfishness broke everything apart.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
They get in the way of the bigger picture. So, it's truly fascinating. It's truly fascinating. And we have to definitely honor the fact that your perspective grew as time went on. Your understanding grew as time went on. Your exposure grew as time went on. And you went from the one on the receiving end of those words of wisdom, and clearly today you stand as a man who has the ability to carry on that wisdom, both of what you've been taught and what your experiences brought you to. So, with all due respect,
Yes, brother.
Cee Russo, definitely got to say thank you. So tell the people once again where they can find this beautiful craft, this beautiful information, this source of knowledge that you have, please.
369 Nostrum, Brooklyn Tonsorial, full shave from Barber Studio. Peace.
69 Nostrand Avenue, Brooklyn Tonsorial.
Yeah, BrooklynTonsorial.com, CeeRusso.com. I'm accessible.
There you go. Casted Crowns Inc., everyone. Another one. Thank you so much.